All right, wonderful listeners, you're welcome again to your darling station, the Living Radio 90.9. We're on it again today. Today is just about a day behind the much celebrated Valentine's Day. Today in our discussion is just going to be a caption especially for this Valentine Day. Valentine means a lot of things to too many persons. But as we all know, the story of this man called Valentine is not so much. But one thing that must be understood is that he was decapitated on the 14th of February and buried at the Christian cemetery on the Via Millview of the north in the city. And that is that. And what led to his death and so on. And why are we celebrating it? And is the celebration in accordance with the biblical love? What is this celebration of Valentine? Because everywhere, anywhere, those of you who were in town yesterday, you see everybody do Val for me, buy this for me. Are you not taking me out? Don't you know what today is? So we are going to look into this. What is Val? And in today's discussion, I have a friend, a media person, and a brother, Polymath. We will be looking at Polymath. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want us to look at briefly to you, what is Valentine?
Thank you very much, Prof. Sincerely speaking, I will always say this, that Valentine has to do with a mutual agreement to show love, and it has to do with together as one, portray positive love, the love that is beyond that of what woman thinks about, not the love of flesh, but the one that comes directly from your hearts, the love that is genuine, a love that is sincere, and a love too that is up and doing. I think that is what Valentine portrays.
All right, this is a man who was believed to have shed a lot, and in fact, he stepped on the toes of the then leaders, and that is how he was laid off. And today he's being remembered that 14th day of February when he died and was buried, and that is exactly what is happening today. Now, when you talk about this love, Valentine is supposed to be a time of love. Then one question that should come to mind is, the man we're celebrating, this love we're celebrating on every 14th day of February every year, that this man, his love, was it an amorous one? Is it the type of love that we experience today? Because most of our hotels were filled as we speak. As at yesterday, most of the hotels were filled. A lot of girls, somebody even told me that whatever happened, after 9 months, the result will occur. So I wanted to tell us, is that the type of love? Was it amorous?
Well, I must say this, that the kind of love our people are showing forth in regards to the Valentine celebration is truly nothing to write home about. They are not sincerely showing the true love Saint Valentine himself portrays, and they are not giving us the positive vibes that is supposed to be seen in every Christianhood precisely. And I will say this, that in regards to these celebrations, our people, the world in general, aren't getting it right, because the reason for the season is just not what they are celebrating. They are celebrating an abstract reason off from the dealings of Valentine. I think they are sincerely not getting it right, sir.
All right, because the man we're talking about, I know that Pope Gelasius I in 496 AD, made a tribute to this man's memory, and that is why today we remember him, we talk about him, and so on. And then, in your own parlance, what do you think Valentine should be like? How will it be celebrated?
Valentine should be celebrated in accordance of love. And I think it's a moment where gifts should be shared among each other, like those who have what to offer, giving it to the less privileged, going out to seek for those people who couldn't get something to eat, show them love, give them that thing that you feel you have. And make sure, I can vividly remember, I can say something while I was in secondary school. We always have these celebrations we do on the 14th of every February. Each student are bound to come with a particular gift, not minding how small it is. Then you pick a paper, then we extract those papers, and once you pick that of another, you are meant to give gift to that person. And that is what it should be. It is a time to show love. It is a time to portray that positivities of what comes directly into your heart, not the negative parts of or the negative side of it. That is what it is.
All right, I think also it is important to note that the man we're talking about, the Saint Valentine, the man we're talking about, is said to have defied the Emperor Claudius by performing Christian weddings, perhaps even handing out parchments, hats as a reminder of love of God for delivering, those letters. So if this man had died as a result of performing Christian, we call it Christian rituals, real love, the type the Bible referred to as agape love, and not necessarily what we see these days. And then what are our viewers and our listeners? What are they supposed to know and practice concerning this? This is a man who gave his life irrespective of the emperors, the kings then, but he continued with the good work of God, preaching love and so on. Even especially when it was said, no, you should stop. He said, no, as far as God is concerned, this message of love must continue. And yet today, that is quite different. Even in our churches, we don't even see pure love in so many churches. Too many things are happening. Our pastors are busy buying private jets and building mansions and so on, while their followers are dying in hunger and abject poverty. So what lesson are we supposed to learn from this?
I think the Christians in particular should try as much as possible to do that which is right. And I think love is one of the essential factors in Christianity. Our people, naturally, they are not just getting it right, because I've said that before, that they seem to forget the biblical aspect of love. And that is exactly what our own Valentine showed during his time. But looking at what is happening so far, it connotes that our people are not following the vibes from the origin of what we intend to see now. Like if you talk about Valentine came as a route to help to magnate those things that are wrong initially. You will agree with me that before the commencement of Valentine, there were pagan festivals going on. And such pagan festivals has its roots called Lupercalia. Lupercalia is actually, it includes the rituals aspect of such as sacrifices of animals and every other thing. But the presence of Valentine came on board and extricates all those things off from what we are saying in the past. So I think Christians in particular should try as much as possible to do that which is right, and they should always follow that biblical law, which is known as the agape love, so that at the end of the day, we will have something to hold on to and sincerely accept the fact that yes, we are Christians.
All right, we're going to go on a very short break. When we come back, this story will continue. Remember, it's just about 30 minutes program. We just want to use this to educate most of our people, a lot of people, especially the younger ones. They hear about Valentine without knowing what it means, the origin, and how it came about, and how it should be practiced. That's exactly what we are discussing today. Valentine is a time for sober reflection. It's a time for one to think back. There are so many Christians and legends that have died, but they had nothing to be remembered for. But this man played a role, and that is why today we remember it. It's not supposed to send us to hellfire. It's not supposed to it's not supposed to give us negative stories. It is supposed to improve on our lives. When we celebrate yesterday, I know a lot of people are still lying down as a result of the hangover of yesterday. So many people almost killed themselves in various beer parlors and drinking places. I also know that the others are still in some of the hotels where they slept yesterday. But what is Valentine? Just like my guests in the studio said, It is a time for pure, practical agape love. It is not self, just like the Bible will say, for God so loved the world that he gave. This is not a time of receiving. It is a time of sharing. It is a time of getting yourself directly involved. When we talk about real love, and most often it looks as if you can't even see it in most of our churches because of what is happening. The level of greed and selfishness that we see in the churches practiced by most pastors and so-called bishops is so terrible. All right, having said that, Polymath, let's get back. I want us to compare this Valentine love with the love of God, especially what the Bible says in 1 John 4:20. That how can you claim that you love God whom you do not see when you cannot do good things to these people around you? And then I was saying that I also want you to look at the churches around and look at the bishops around, vote those who are buying their private jets and buying houses here and there, and then also look at also those who are using the offerings, tithes, and the seed sowing or whatever you call it to build churches and hospitals. Yet most of the people who make these contributions cannot afford the bills, both the hospital bills and even the school bills. So let's compare it with the Valentine love we're talking about.
Well, I think we've come down to the setting of what we call the real Christians here. And if you ask me, I would say that the people we call our bishops, our pastors, and our leaders in the Christendom or in the Christian race aren't really helping matters here. And if you ask me to, I will tell you that the major problems we have in a Christian race is the people we call the leaders. That is the leaders of the Christian segments, which are the bishops, the pastors, the reverends, the whatever thing they are called. These are the people that are actually not helping things right. But I must say this, that according to an English adage, it is always said that that when a man refuses to let that which is in him to direct him, he will go out falling apart. But I think in regards to the comparing both things, I will tell you the truth that our people are not really helping matters. Our Christian race is really not portraying direct events of what we're saying today. If you see in the Christian race where we have some of the private universities, and you will get to see that it is still the richer people that are having access to those institutions and leaving the poor people behind to suffer over nothing. And with this, you can see that things are not really working the way it ought to be, sir.
All right, when you also look around, it is very often at the times when people talk about the opium of religion and Christianity, it looks as if they are right somehow. Because the pastor will always tell you that you have to lay up your treasures in heaven, where moth and thieves will not lay hands on them. And that same pastor is busy. What it simply means is that Christ may be coming today or tomorrow. So you don't have any need to lay your treasures here or even have a bank account because Christ can come anytime. But these people who are telling you these things are busy building universities that will graduate people in the next 4 years. And then these same people are also very, very busy building skyscrapers, industries, and so on. And then the question becomes, who is fooling who? Do we just see this as a way of milking the people dry in the name of Christianity? Because during this palliative, I tried to listen to hear if bishops and so on, those with private jets and millions, will mention a place they are asking their members to come for palliatives, but not, such a thing never happened. So what kind of Christianity are we practicing? People like St. Valentine, these are people who led their life out of love. They were killed, they never worried. That is just practicing exactly what Jesus Christ did. The Bible said, for God so loved the world that he gave. So when you love, you give. I am not talking about the amorous type of loving. The Bible said, thou shalt give. The one boy just just by the side. One young man told us that he went to check one lady, and then when he was checking the lady was busy saying Matthew 7:7. Then he was beating around the bush trying to speak big grammars for it, and the girl would say Matthew 7:7.
Exactly.
He never knew what Matthew 7:7 said until he had to rush back home, open Matthew 7:7, and then that place says, "Ask and ye shall receive." He ran back to go and ask from the girl, but by then the girl had disappeared. So what we are seeing in Christendom today, is that what is supposed to be? Do we truly have pastors? I'm not saying there are no original pastors called by God who are doing the work of God, but those ones, their names are not heard. I'm not talking about the flamboyant pastors on television and so on who are busy there. How are we going to re-engineer, reintroduce, and apply these Valentine's love back to our churches?
Thank you very much. According to a great philosopher, he said, and I quote, that the greatest man in life is not the man that fails without correction for progressions, but the man that fails at two correction for progressions. The truth is this: our big heads in the Christian race are not doing what they are supposed to do. All they preach about is riches, prosperity. Nobody talks about salvation. Nobody talks about love. Nobody talks about showing of mutual understanding, and nobody talks about how to be a good Christian. And this is where we are getting it all wrong too. And if you ask me, I'll tell you that St. Valentine played his role during his time as a good lover of mankind. But today, we are actually seeing the other side of St. Valentine's. The people we are looking up to in the Christian race are actually the people still imposing issues and problems in the race. So I think if things are not done properly, we will always remain the same way we are. And love will keep diminishing, and it will keep showing up negatively, which is not supposed to be. And I think this issue of Valentine tends for the Christians to wake up from their slumber and understands that Valentine has nothing to do with taking one into a hotel room, having one or two things to do with that person negatively. It is a moment of sober reflection. It is a moment of love. It is a moment of ideas. It is a movement of sharing of gifts, and it's a movement of cordial relationship with one another. If our Christians, our Christian leaders refuse to understand this, definitely they are not doing us any good.
All right. I remember also this Valentine we're talking about was not initiated by this same man who did this. No. Like I said earlier, it was initiated by Pope Gelasius I in 496 AD.
Sure.
And this is a man because he has also the Spirit of God. These days, pastors and bishops, nobody remembers the good of the other.
Sure.
But this man had died, was buried on the 14th, died on the 14th day of February and buried. But another pope raised up to say, no, this man who did this must be remembered for life. And that is why today we will always live all over the world to celebrate this. Now, one other question before we leave is, I really want you also to look at that. Life, I've always said, life also is not computed by its duration, but by its donation. It doesn't really matter how long you live on earth, but what you're able to put in the footprint of life as legacy, that will speak for you even after you are gone. That is what life is all about. That is why they say that the age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon. And finally, before we go, Polymath, I also wanted to talk to our clergy, because these are the people. When you talk about love started from God. Love originated from God. God is love himself, and that is why I thank God that the likes of Valentine, they were able to also re-establish it, what love is, irrespective of the terror, irrespective of the hostility that was set before them. They maintained it until they die. So let's talk to our clergy, talk to our people, talk to our brothers, because the thing is misunderstood. If you were around town yesterday, you weep, because this is not what the man died for.
Yes. Well, this is actually a moment for me to talk to our clergies, our spiritual leaders, and our Christian leaders. If not for Pope Galatius, who has made this day one of a viable day for the world to know, possibly we wouldn't have been celebrating this thing constantly. You can see that Pope himself is actually a spiritual leader. He is a Christian leader, and he's also a leader in the Christendom. So he played his own role the best way he can, and today the world is celebrating Valentine. So I'm using this opportunity to talk to our leaders, our clergymen, that they should stop the attitude of speaking that which is not supposed to be what the people wants to hear. They should tell us more about love. They should tell us more about salvation and stop this issue of prosperity. The truth is this: once there is love, there is a mutual understanding. And once there is love, definitely prosperity will come. Love portrays the most positive thing every man will wish to get, because love connotes and bring the best out of every man. So if they are not telling us love, then they are not telling us the truth. It is love first before any other thing. So I'm using this opportunity to talk to them, and I'm saying this, that for them to get us to the right track in our Christian race, they must sincerely tell us what love is and the true definition of love, so that we as Christians can actually imbibe and work towards that. Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, and that is it, and that is the much we are going to go for today. But before we go, I also want us, both our listeners and also our clergy, those who are directing the people in various churches, it is important to note that in Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, he said, "Let this book of the law never depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night, and observe everything in it, and then you shall prosper." So prosperity does not come by, I was in Enugu and the man gave us 2 million naira. The next day the Lord embarrassed him with 100 million. I was in Aba, a man sold his shop and gave to us, and the next day our Lord is not a money doubler. He does not embarrass anybody with money. But when you do the right thing must always follow. Let us practice real love, just like Polymath said. Let love move round. I'm not talking about amorous love. I'm not talking about what happened yesterday in so many hotels. A lot of people are still living with the hangover of yesterday. That is not the type of love I am talking about. I am talking about the love that freely gives. Having said that, this is the much we're going to take today, and it has been a pleasure with you. And Polymath, thank you for being part of today's program.
Thank you very much, sir.
And then this is your command, Oreto Chineduma DLA. We will be back again. Keep enjoying the rest of the day and keep listening to your darling station, Living Radio 90.9. Bye for now.
Thank you.